Okay. All right. What's going on, y'all? First stream in a little while. Gonna see how this goes and how we kind of take it. But essentially, what I'm gonna be doing is I have a few YouTube videos that I have to record. So instead of just kind of like recording them on my own or whatever the case may be, I'm gonna go ahead and record them with you all. All right. Let's get into it. Right. Actually, let me get my whiteboard. Got my whiteboard. Let's get into it. All right. Normally I have my setup like over there, but I had like some notes that I wanted to look at and all this other stuff. So I'm gonna just do it this way for right now. All right. Let's move this back this way. Cool. So first video that we want to talk about is 8 beginner mistakes to avoid in the event space industry, right? So a lot of times new venue owners, they make at least one of these mistakes, right? And a lot of them, unfortunately, are expensive, where even to the point where we have an entire list of common mistakes that clients make or whatever the case may be, or prospects make in order to help them avoid those things, right? So here's the thing, right? If you're just getting to the event space game, these are 8 mistakes that I'm going to be talking about in just a little bit. Could cost you time, money, or even bookings, right? And by the end of this video, you'll know exactly what to avoid so you can start, scale fast without learning the hard way, okay? And we're even going to talk about a case study that we saw where a venue lost over $200,000, of course, not in event space leads, right? But that lost over $200,000 from just this one mistake and how you can go ahead and avoid it, right? So mistake number 1, right? So we're going to have number 1, right? Not having a clear niche, right? So number 1, not having a clear niche, right? So a lot of times when venue owners are opening up and they're operating, they think that everybody's their client, right? They need to, and that leads to, messy branding. It's like you're posting all these different things on social media, and it essentially becomes very, very confusing. And one of the biggest things that I've learned about marketing is that when you sell to everybody, you sell to no one, right? So like, for example, if you're going after a corporate market, go after a corporate market, right? If you're going after private events, go after private events. If you're going after late night entertainment, go after late night entertainment, okay? Right? But niching down helps you tailor your space, your pricing, your decor, and everything to attract the right clients, right? And of course, for all those who are watching, if you guys are interested in working with event space leads, of course, I have the link down below where you can grab that free guide. And if you feel like you need more help, you could just apply to work with us, right? So one of the biggest things that I talk about when it comes down to niching down is you want to start with your most common inquiry type, or just who do you feel that you can help the most, right? So, and you can always expand later, right? Like a lot of times people feel like, okay, cool, like I gotta go ahead and appeal to everybody. Like, no, you don't have to necessarily do that, right? Because like for us, like we always focus on the private event sector, right? So just kind of making some notes here. So like there's private event, okay? There's a corporate event, okay? You have like the late night paid events, okay? Just making some notes here. Right, you have all these different things, right? So like I said, you have private events, you have, I know it's probably a little bit difficult to read, but corporate events, late night paid events, right? Cool. Well, if you appeal, like say for example, I'm going after private events, right? Well, private events look a lot different from corporate events. When it comes down to private events, right, you're thinking more so like baby shower, you're thinking maybe like birthday party. Like the avatar is just a lot different, right? As opposed to corporate event where it's like, okay, cool, I might be going after some big box brands like, like grocery stores or schools, things of that nature, right? So with that being said, like you want to understand, because I see a lot of times, like I'll do an Instagram audit with somebody, right? And I'll look at their Instagram and I'll be like, well, who are you appealing to? Like what type of client are you trying to do? And it looks messy, it looks all over the place, or whatever the case may be, right? So it just doesn't make sense, right? The second mistake, all right, so we have mistake number 2, is underpricing your space, right? This is actually a big mistake that I had made when I first started my journey, right? So underpricing your space, right? And a lot of times what happens is that, and I see this happen so often, I just realized I have this light over here. There we go. And what I've realized that happens very often is that what people do, the way they'll typically go ahead and price their spaces is like they'll just go ahead and say, okay, cool. Well, I'll see what everybody's charging. I'll provide a little bit more value and I'll undercut them, right? And it's just like, okay, cool. Like that makes sense to an extent, but then that's just a race to the bottom, right? And now it's like you have all these venues that are charging like $500, $1,000 or whatever, and nobody's actually making money, right? Because they're pricing based on emotion, they're pricing based on fear, they're not pricing based on data, right? So in Event Space Leads, we actually have all the pricing and packaging already laid out for people so that they don't have to go ahead and figure that out, right? And the problem with this as well is that this attracts very low budget clients, right? And now it's like you're doing so much more work. Like I had a meeting with a client, and she was just like, I'm doing all these events, and I'm just like, well, where's the money? She's just like, well, I didn't really charge them much. And I'm just like, well, that doesn't really make much sense, right? So like your price has to communicate a certain amount of value. And if you're undercharging significantly, well, one, you're going to get the bottom of the barrel clientele. And then also people are just going to assume that like something's wrong with the venue. Like me personally, if I see a big, beautiful venue, like I remember one time when I was in Queens, we had a drop off, right? And there's this big, beautiful venue, like 2,500 square feet or whatever the case to be. And they were charging like $600. And I'm just like, well, this doesn't make much sense. Like how are they in business? And then I realized just like, oh, wow, like they're next to like a precinct. And then there's all these like random people going around. Like, and I'm like, okay, cool. Like it makes sense now, right? So that's the next thing, right? Mistake number 3. Okay. Mistake number 3 is no systems. I'm just writing some notes, and no automations. All right. I don't know if you guys can see that or whatever the case may be. Boom, boom, boom. Right. No system. I'm going to try to keep this over here. Right. I don't know. I know my handwriting is a little crazy, but hopefully it kind of makes sense. All right. But you guys could just kind of like hear me talk and just probably take notes or whatever. Right. So here's the thing, right? A lot of times, and I've seen so many venues kind of like go out of business because there's no clear process, right? They are booking via DM, or they're using the notes on their phone, or they have this person managing this and that person managing that, and they're keeping everything on these separate CRMs, and it's like it just does not make sense, right? You have to understand something. Like a lot of times when you're building your business, yes, when you start out from the beginning, it might be a little bit all over the place, but you want to eventually have a system, right? Or else you're just wasting hours and increasing your legal risk. Like you're just increasing your chances of getting sued, right? So here's the thing, right? One of the biggest things that you want to do is you want to have a CRM, right? So actually, let me go ahead and erase this, right? So boom, boom, boom. Right. So we're talking about no systems / automation, right? So with that being said, number one, right? You want a CRM, right? For those who don't know, CRM is a customer relationship management software, right? So you want a place where you can go ahead and like send invoices, right? Send contracts, right? Track leads, right? Right. You want to be able to do all these different things, right? It should not be all over the place when somebody comes into your pipeline, right? There should be a funnel, right? For those who don't know what a funnel is, it's just like, okay, cool. Like I want to be able to understand where this person who's coming in as a lead is now coming in to do a tour, who's now coming in to do a booking. Like you want to understand all these different things, right? I just realized I have this box up here. Right, cool. Let me move that. All right, beautiful. Right. So like everything should kind of go into a funnel, right? Like I know a lot of times people use systems like, like Honeybook or Calendly, Google Forms, whatever. This is actually why we built our own CRM. So in Event Space Leads, we built our own CRM called Venue 360 that does all these things for you. It can track payments, it can track leads, it can track DMs, it can track all these different things, right? And again, if you are interested in getting your own event space up and running, All you got to do, there's a link below. There's going to be a link below this video, or it's on the YouTube channel as well. You can grab a free guide. It's a 7-step free guide that breaks down how to find, fund, and fill your very own event space. But then it also has a link to the next page where it's like, hey, I want some more help to get this done even faster. Now, I want to be very, very specific here. Like, do not apply if this is not you. Like, if you feel that you could do it on your own or whatever the case may be, like, then don't apply. Don't let's not waste each other's time. But if you feel like, going through the free guide and going through all the free information, like, hey, I would like a lot more assistance and help with this, then book a call with us and let's see how best we can help you. Okay. So now the next mistake, the mistake number 4, M4, right, is a poor visual presentation, right? And this comes down really, really big to open houses, right? Open houses are literally where the money is being made, right? So I'm just going to write down here, open houses. Okay. So this essentially comes down to open houses, right? So the way that looks like is that a lot of times when people are going ahead and viewing your venue, right? If they're first things first, they see it on social media or whatever the case may be. Well, now it's just like, okay, cool. Like you have these super blurry photos, or it's all over the place, or it's like a half cocked or whatever the case may be, and it looks very, very weird, right? As opposed to somebody who says, okay, cool, I'm just gonna take, clear iPhone photos, some good lighting, but I'm going to show the venue. Like that's very, very key. That's very, very important. You want to be able to show the venue. You want to be able to show, okay, cool, this is what the venue looks like. This is what it looks like when it's dressed up. This is what it looks like, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Like you want to be able to showcase these things, right? But if your photos don't show that, if your videos don't show that, well, then people aren't going to book. Another big thing with this, like I just mentioned, is open houses, right? Every single open house is a walking billboard of your venue. Right. So when somebody comes into an open house, it should be decorated. It should be dressed up. It should show like it's ready for an event, because this is essentially the visual representation of how you want somebody to look at it. Right. Super, super key thing, super big thing. Right. And here's the thing, right? Like a lot of times people say like, oh, well, do I have to go ahead and invest in like a professional camera or whatever the case may be? Like, no, you don't necessarily have to do that. Right. An iPhone works just fine. But if you're not going to even be doing that, well, then you just probably don't really care about your business, right? Moving on to the next thing, right? The next thing that is super, super key, super, super clutch. Let me actually go ahead and erase this. Okay. The next thing is ignoring laws and permits, right? And I see a lot of people do this, right? I'm not going to go into detail on this because, it's kind of self-explanatory. But essentially what happens is that this one can become a nightmare, right? Like if you don't know the zoning, you don't know the insurance, you don't know the occupancy rules, well, then you can get shut down mid-booking or even result in a fine for your venue. And I've seen people literally get shut down for things like this, right? Not in event space elites, unless they do something else and don't listen to us or whatever. But like I've seen some venues even sued or forced to close down because they're not following the proper protocol. Right. So, and this is why it's so important to really like get into a community or get into a program that knows what they're doing, because like, hey, look, listen, like you can go ahead and say, oh, I can find a property, or I can go ahead and get the funding, or I could do all these different things. Right. Cool. But now you're out of business. You see what I'm saying? Like it just never really makes sense, right? You want to be able to check all these different boxes because it's just like zoning, insurance, occupancy, all these things go ahead and ruin you, right? So like before even booking your first client, like, make sure you check with your city zoning board, make sure you check with your mentor, your coach, or whatever the case may be, get your business insurance, because these things can turn around and hurt you, right? Mistake number 6. Right. This is kind of a doozy, right? Not building good relationships with your neighbors, right? Like this is a big one, right? Neighbors can make or break your business. Give me one second. Neighbors can really make or break your business, right? Especially, and this is something that I avoid, but like, especially if your space is in like a mixed use or residential area, if they don't feel validated, if they feel disrespected, if they feel ignored, if they feel like they're constantly being disturbed by you, well, they're going to file complaints, and that's going to trigger inspections. That's going to trigger zoning reviews, or that's going to trigger a plethora of issues for your business. So you don't want to be doing these things, right? So like I've seen literally people have bad relationships with their neighbors and just ignore these things over and over and over again, to the point where it's like one day they get mad, they call the cops, and then you're shut down. Like it doesn't make sense, right? And here's the thing, right? Because a lot of people don't understand this. A lot of people do not understand this, right? You can have all the permits, all the insurance, all the this, all that. You can have everything that's up and up on your business. If the city does not want you there or they feel that you are a nuisance, they will shut you down. It's that simple, right? Cool. Mistake number 6, right? Not having a damage or cleaning policy, right? Like, or not having a security deposit, right? Things are going to break. People are going to leave trash. If your policies are not clear in terms of who's paying, guess who's paying for that? You are, because then what's the alternative? Oh, you can go to litigation. You could try to sue them, whatever the case may be. And like, here's the thing, right? It's just a very long, drawn out process. So one of the biggest things you want to do is you want to have like some type of security deposit where it's just like, okay, cool. Like now I have cleaning fees or now I have security deposits. Like these things should be standard for your venue, right? And you include it in your contract. You make it very visible on the invoice or whatever case may be, just so there's no confusion or drama going forward, right? And one of the last mistakes, one of the biggest mistakes that I really want to talk about, right, is no marketing strategy. I'm going to put that right here. Let me just go ahead and is no marketing strategy. This is one of the biggest ones that kills business, right? This is one of the biggest ones that kills businesses, right? Having a big, beautiful venue is not enough. If no one knows about it, you will not get booked. It's that simple, right? Relying only on word of mouth or Instagram, like this just limits your reach, right? You need a collaboration of paid and free traffic. You need systematic and repeatable. That is the only way that this is going to work out for you, right? A lot of times people open up these big venues, they're spending all these thousands of dollars, but then they don't have any marketing, right? Any single one of our clients in Event Space Leads, we can easily go in and see how many leads they're generating. We can see the leads that they're generating. We can see the clients that they're attracting, whatever the case may be. You need to do the same thing for your business, right? Start building an email list from day one. Start building a text list from day one. Start building these different things from day one, right? And again, if you are interested in finding funding and filling your very own event space successfully, join us in Event Space Elites, right? Oh, wrong direction, right? Whoop. There we go. Join us in Event Space Elites, right? In Event Space Elites, we have our roadmap. We have our step-by-step process where you can go ahead and see exactly what we look at to go ahead and find the property, how we go ahead and fund the property, how we go ahead and get it filled with systematic, repeatable bookings. If you do not want to make those mistakes and you don't, because here's the thing, right? Like no matter what the cost is, like if you don't know, if you've never done these things before, you're going to make these mistakes. So don't set yourself up for failure. I get on calls with people all the time. They're just like, well, I've been trying to do this for a year. I've been trying to do this for 2 years. Well, why hasn't it happened yet? Well, and if you don't know the steps, it's just going to continue to hold you back. So with that being said, there's going to be a link right below this video, or you can just see in the description of our YouTube channel where you can grab a free 7-step guide. It's going to walk you through the 7 steps that we typically walk through to get your event space business up and running. And then if you feel like you want more help, well, then go ahead and just book a call with us. All right. Cool. Got another video cooking for you guys. Yeah. Interesting. Let's go ahead and take care of that. All right. Cool. Got another video cooking for you guys. What is the next video? Cool. All right, beautiful. Actually, I think I'm going to record this video over there. So I'm going to stop this live and I'm going to start a new one. Peace.